Welcome to Pimpy's Investment Chat, where we keep investment talk simple. And here's your host, Pimpy.
What is going on out there, peeps? A lot of people are asking me any news on the Vietnam Dong. There is a little bit. We could talk about it. I haven't done a video in a while, so let me get caught up on what's going on in Vietnam. Before we get started, if you're not a subscriber, please do so, because when you do, it helps out the channel, and I certainly do appreciate it. If you think about buying gold and silver, or any other precious metals for that matter, head on over to our friends at Money Metals Exchange. The link is down below in the description. When you purchase over there at Money Metals Exchange, you will now be automatically entered into a chance to get free giveaways. This month, you'll be automatically registered to be one of 3 people who will receive 10 ounces. That's 10 silver eagles each. So head on over to Money Metals, make your purchase, and automatically enter to win. For those of you who are unaware, I do have my own webpage. I can be found at Pimpy's News Network. Over here, I do post videos that I can't post on YouTube without getting in trouble. I also have my own Facebook group called Pimpy's Investment Chat. Over here, we do talk about gold, silver, cryptocurrencies, as well as foreign currency investments. So come on over here and join us. It's free to do so. I can also be found over here on Twitter, MeWe, YouTube, Odyssey, and now I'm on Rumble. If I get kicked off YouTube or I get suspended on YouTube, you can find me on any other one of these social media platforms. Okay, so last time we were checking in on Vietnam, they actually have a pretty strong economy. What is hurting their currency value is every time the United States hikes its interest rates, the dollar gets stronger against foreign currencies. And so far, Vietnam has been doing very good about being able to fight off any real drop in the value of the exchange rate. But it did use up a huge portion of its foreign currency assets by the end of 2022. And it looks like it started to rebound and build those reserves back up in 2023. So let's see if anything's changed since then and see what's new and exciting with Vietnam. Australia sees close ties with Vietnam. So Australia's Prime Minister Anthony Albanese has concluded a visit in Vietnam, during which he signed a multi-million-dollar agreement to help Vietnam decarbonize its economy. Tensions with China have also been the backdrop of the visit. Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese has said he wants Vietnam to become one of the country's top-tier partners as the government in Canberra seeks to diversify from its reliance on China, its biggest trading partner. So there are a lot of countries that are actually doing that, where you had a lot of countries going to China to get things produced, get things made, because you can get it done there cheaply. People are concerned about the relationship between China and the United States and where it might be heading. So we saw a lot of businesses that were in China reevaluate where they were and what was going on. And then we seen them leave China and go over to places like Vietnam, Malaysia, Thailand. Those countries are benefiting from these bigger corporations leaving China and moving into their territory. So that's good. But what we're also seeing is China trying to take over the South China Sea and the trade routes, and that's not a good thing. So there is a lot of tensions over there in the China Sea. For those of you who don't know, a Chinese warship near Taiwan is trying to play tag with the United States boat, trying to bump into it and stuff. But the United States is not going to back down. My concern is the guy that's in the White House now is controlled by China. And of course, there's major concern about the fact that he's been letting in across the border a lot of Chinese nationalists at military age. A lot of people are not paying attention to that. Makes you wonder what's really going on. Look, Biden's a weak leader. He won't stand up to China. He's not going to stand up to Russia. Nobody expects him to do so. We got the wrong president to fight these types of battle. We need to get Trump back in there because he knows how to deal with these people. So these types of aggressive moves that China is doing is causing countries to reevaluate their relationship with China. And Australia is one of them. Australia and Vietnam have signed various agreements during Albanese's 2-day visit to the Southeast Asian nation, including a $69.3 million package to help authorities in Hanoi decarbonize Vietnam's economy. There are also accords to share intelligence on money laundering and set up a regular meeting between the country's trade ministers. There was also a celebration of 2 new air routes linking Australia's cities to Melbourne and Brisbane to Hanoi and Ho Chi Minh City, respectively. That's good for tourism on both sides. Analysts have said that Vietnam shares Australians' concerns about China's moves to exert control over the South China Sea. The Vietnamese Coast Guard has had confrontations with Chinese vessels in waters claimed by both countries. But it's not just Vietnamese and Thailand dealing with China. Like I said, the U.S. has been dealing with them over there as well. A lot of aggressive actions by China against our warships. Speaking of Vietnam on Sunday, Prime Minister Albanese said that he was eager for closure of bilateral ties. We share a common interest in a region that is stable, that is prosperous, that is resilient, and we are pleased to work with Vietnam. And we share a commitment to maintaining the global rules and norms that can ensure the stability in the region going forward. Australia's total two-way trade with Vietnam in 2021 was worth $11.8 billion, according to the government. So for those of you who don't know, Vietnam used to have a really closed system when it came to trade. They did not open up the doors very much to deal with countries internationally, and it was having an effect on Vietnam. But once they opened up those doors and started doing trade with other countries openly, it has had a positive effect on Vietnam's economy. They still managed to have one of the cheapest currencies, but I anticipate once the dollar starts to drop, you're going to see a lot of these currencies really start to rise against the US dollar. Now, a lot of people are saying, well, it's not happening yet, Pimpy. They're not. They're lying about the data. They're lying about the jobs numbers. This is more about politics than anything else. At this stage, the Democrats are so desperate that they're going to lie about everything. But back to this. This is good for Vietnam. It's also good for Australia. And I'm anticipating a lot more companies moving out of China into places like Malaysia, Vietnam, just because they don't want to deal with the hostility coming from China. I think China feels like it's their time, and they're too eager to show the world that they can beat the United States, but that eagerness might cause them to have a major setback. Layoffs hit textile garment workers the hardest. So try as they may to stay afloat over there, it doesn't help when these types of things happen. Textile and garment workers make up most workers discharged in the first 5 months of the year due to difficult economic conditions. Well, if people around the world are unsure about what's going to happen in the future, unsure about their jobs, inflation's too high, then that causes people to be a lot more tighter with their money just because they're unsure. They're not going to go spend willy-nilly. And this is why you see textiles and garment workers getting hit. Because people are going to spend money on things that are necessities and really slow down on spending money on things that might be considered luxury or frivolously. Attending the National Assembly meeting on Sunday, the Minister of Labor, Invalids and Social Affairs, said nearly 280,000 lost jobs in the first 5 months. That's not good. Of them, 70,000 were workers in the textile and garment industry, followed by electronic components with 45,000 and footwear at 31,600. During the period, 17,000 laborers were let go without compensation, and textile garment accounted for most of these 5,000 laborers. Well, it could also be that they're changing the way they do business, and you might see a lot of robots start taking over some of these jobs. You hope not, but that's more realistic. Localities where laborers were discharged the most, and they list a bunch of cities on here. Textile garment is also the field where workers reduce working hours the most, with 66,600, followed by footwear at 66,100. In the 5-month period, more than 86,000 companies cut jobs. A total of 27% were foreign invested firms and 72% private companies. So we're talking about foreign investors that are opening up businesses over in Vietnam. They're the ones that seem to be cutting the jobs. I don't know why labor there is so cheap. Dung explained that the mass layoffs had taken place due to a lack of orders resulting from the global economic difficulties, high inflation, and tight monetary policies, as well as a decline in the market demand for fashion and electronics. He said that many businesses now had a lot of inventory that they could not export, while new orders were not arriving. So according to the Federal Reserve, we could be looking at a minimum of 2 more interest rate hikes between here and the end of the year, and a possible third. And those types of things affect currencies overseas. But now that we passed the multi-trillion dollar budget, the dollar is just worthless. It isn't worth a crap. We have so many of them out there printed, it's just hard for me to believe it has any value whatsoever. The purchasing power isn't worth a crap. But unfortunately, every time a rate hike takes place, currencies like the Vietnam dong or even the Iraqi dinar are affected by the rate hikes. But I'm not giving up on them. I hold on to them because eventually the United States dollar is going to come tumbling down. Anyways, what do you guys think? I look forward to hearing from you. That's it for now. I'm out.